Hi everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Hispano Backstage. We are so lucky today to be outside of the Hispano Chamber and on site with, I don't know if you can see behind us, but this one's very special for me. Would you mind introducing yourself to get us started?
All right, Eric, good morning, and thank you for coming over. My name is Frederico Vigil.
Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. We've been trying to arrange this and get in front of you for some time. We know you're a busy man, so thank you so much for allowing us to be here. Let's just start off the obvious here. Where are we sitting and where are we at?
We are at the Albuquerque Chamber Convention Center.
Yeah, that's okay.
Chamber,
I would love to have this in my office.
But it's the Albuquerque Convention Center on a stairwell. We're creating 2,500 square feet of fresco on the history of wine. As most of us know, New Mexico is the oldest wine region in North America.
Now, not everybody knows that, and this is interesting to me because I have to say that some of my education about wine came from you and the artwork behind us. Mm-hmm. So for those of people that don't know, tell us a little bit about wine in New Mexico.
Well, that's why I think we're creating this. Thank God for Sherry Bergman, Shel Sanchez, the Director of Cultural Affairs, and of course, Mayor Keller for allowing. I mean, public artwork in Albuquerque is I think number 3 in the country. And so when we realize that not all of us know that New Mexico, because of our history, and the coming of the Europeans in the 1500s brought over the grape. First started in Mexico, and now we just realized also in South America and Peru, almost the same time period. So the mission grape, which is called Listan Preto.
Listan Preto.
That's the original name, Listan Preto.
Did you hear that, Corey? My Spanish was pretty good on that one.
Yeah. Castile Leon. And they brought it over in the 1500s. Later on, from Mexico, a place called Casa Madero, which is the oldest known winery in North and South America. Listan Preto, or the mission grape, because it was used for, of course, the masses. At least 3 masses a day. We needed wine. That's one of the sacraments there, I think. And so it developed all up and down the Rio Grande Valley.
And when you started creating your art, who came to you and said, we need to tell that story?
I think it was a combination of factors. And eventually proposed to the Albuquerque Urban Arts Program. Sherry Bergman was then the director. And we had to go before the Arts Board. And it just kind of slowly developed. And now we are into almost finishing the fresco this end of this year in December. When
I started about a year ago, I had the honor to have you give us a tour. And not only did I learn about the art form, which we'll talk about here in a second, I learned about the wine process. So I'm curious, when it was introduced to you and they said, we'd love for you to do this for us, did you learn anything new that you didn't know about wine and the history of wine in New Mexico? Almost everything. I mean, I did some frescoes in Spain. So of course, that's where you learn how to drink wine a little bit, because that's a drink that they have morning, noon, and night. And they teach the youth how to enjoy a glass of wine. They don't wait till we're 21 years old and then we have to start drinking or learning how to drink. Right.
So, and most individuals in Spain, they have their own bodega, small little vineyard that they make their own wine for the family. So they call it pitarra. Pitarra, and I remember being there, and you go in to get your tapa or go into the bar and you order a pitarra, and that was 67 cents and a tapa.
Wow.
Homemade wine.
If only.
Yeah.
If only. So do you prefer red or white yourself?
I'm a heavy-bodied red.
Red, so dry?
Drinker.
Dry
Pretty
better?
much, yeah.
When you smile,
dry.
your lips stick to your gums kind
I don't know about all that, but.
Okay, so let's jump into, as an artist, you yourself, who was your inspiration or who was your mentor? What did you start with? When did you know that you were going to be an artist?
You know, I think all artists start as infants, as youth. We're always working or trying to create with something. I remember in the 6th grade, I went to school. I was born in Santa Fe. I went to a school up in Upper Canyon Road. It was called Manderfield. We didn't have a gym, but we had art, music, and dance. And there my 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Baca, said, "You have some talent." And
when she said you have talent, how did she see that? What were you doing?
we were drawing, I was drawing dragons. I used to love to draw dragons. And so, but that's why it's so important with teachers. Teachers influence the future of students and the direction that they may be or may not be going. But I got a degree in biology in the 70s, and I worked for the government for a while. And then in 1978, I went full-time painting. Not painting frescoes, I was an acrylic painter. And in 1984, I was very fortunate to receive a fellowship to go study fresco with people that worked with Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo.
Wow.
In a place called Gualala, California. I lived with them for 3 weeks. And they taught Tina Badotny, Edward Weston, Trotsky, Frida Kahlo and them. And I saw a portrait of Frida Kahlo that she had done in fresco, and that they sold at Sotheby's. And now those things are going for over $1 million. But hindsight's 20/20 in all aspects. I wish I would have remembered more and asked more questions. But ever since 1984, I've been trying to learn fresco. And of course now, with this program, teaching the future and the youth of the young artists that are in Albuquerque, which are incredible. They're going to take fresco to a level that we're not going to see anywhere.
You mentioned, and I want to take a step back because this was surprising to me. Biology. Mm-hmm. What was your interest in biology, and how did that happen?
Well, we grew up rural, sheep herders, like most of our families were sheep herders. So we were always outside in the environment working. So I'm not sure. I just used to. We'd always go fishing in the Santa Fe River, so it was very natural for me to move into biology.
So when you were in California, you were drawing dragons. You mentioned that you had a teacher that said you have some talent. What was that next step from grade school, middle school talents to saying I can do this professionally? When did that big break happen?
In Santa Fe. Well, Canyon Road was a very rural place. Dirt road, Canyon Road was a dirt road. We had, of course, the Santa Fe River was very vibrant and flowing. So artists would move to Canyon Road area because you could rent some place for $50 a month and a little house. Wow. Now look at the difference now.
Yeah, right.
Canyon Road, I mean, that's where I grew up, and it's completely different, a lot of galleries, but you're not going to find anything for $50 a month. So the artists in the world and in America gravitate to a place where they can create, but where they can live reasonably. Now there's artists that can probably live anywhere they would like to and want to because they can afford to, and they reach that level, and they're very fortunate. But the majority of us need a place low-key. That's why I've been trying to build my house since 2002.
Okay.
So I take off 3 nails and I put 2 screws on now because it does fall apart. But I think it was, you need a lot of help. So to be able to say, okay, I want to be an artist, support, family support, your partner support is essential. It's very difficult. And I had that, so in the 70s, middle 70s, I became a full-time painter. I left my job and became a full-time. And the other thing I tell the artist, Mr. Vigil, how much do you get paid an hour?
That's a good question.
I said, well, you have to start worrying about how much you get paid an hour. You better look at something else to do. And I always say, keep your overhead low. If you can keep your overhead low, that way you can create and hopefully sell, and one step at a time. So,
did you ever have anybody come in on the commerce side of your business? It's one thing to be a talented artist. It's another thing to understand the business side of it, understanding pricing, understanding contracts, and working in the community with business relations. Did you have anybody that showed you that part of it? Because I know we have a lot of artists in town. We have photographers. We have a lot of really talented people. Where I feel that we need more education on is the business side of it, how to become an entrepreneur through art. Did you have that guidance?
No. And that's perfect that you mentioned that, because that's so important to allow and to educate artists of the business aspect, I think is a priority. And I know that one of my assistants down there is working, Ramona. She's doing a business degree, learning how to do business, because if you have it in the art, you can always create and paint whatever you want, sculpt. But to learn the business and how to live in a business, because we work with business. And so that is critical, and thank you for doing that. I wish you were here when I was trying to learn.
I think it's a good question to have, and when we look at you and we see the success in our community, in Albuquerque and in New Mexico, when we mention your name, everybody kind of says, oh, we know you. But not everybody knows the journey it took to get here. So what would you say some adversity that you faced that maybe kept you and kind of said, I don't know if this is for me, and how did you overcome that adversity?
I don't know if I've overcome it, but there's a dicho that says, con los golpes aprende uno. My aunt would tell us, finalmente con los golpes aprende los tontos.
Translate that for us.
Eventually, with all the struggles and the heartaches, we as don't know things will eventually learn. That's in a gentle way.
Yeah.
But it's I think each area that one works with and each environment that one works with, we get to learn things that we should have done and things that we shouldn't have done. And so it's a continual learning process. I look at it that way. Some people get it early and they're very good. Some people know how to use the way that now with the phones and how to work and how to sell, and because I think eventually galleries, will be very secluded, not because you can get your phone up and say, okay, I have this piece of artwork that we can sell, and this is what it is, which is good. Some people are having exhibits in their homes, in their studios. It's hard to get into a gallery. If you can't, that's fantastic. But there's different ways to move around on how to expose your art.
I love that you said that, and you're right. I think people embracing what they have available to them to make the most of it is super important. What are you most proud of as an artist over the time that you've been painting? What are some of the things that you're most proud when you talk about your artwork or the people that you've been involved with?
Well, I count my blessings all the time, because it's timing. There's so much, I would say, being at the right place at the right time. I want to use luck also, but there's so many factors that go along with trying to get to a level that you would like to. I was been very fortunate, because when I learned fresco, there weren't too many fresco painters. So the competition into going for a project and having fresco behind, and if people like fresco, it opened up doors and walls, like you can see here. To be able to get a wall in fresco is a blessing. And so as we share the knowledge of fresco that over 30 years of trying to, and it's, believe me, we learn all the time. It's never a boring media because of the pigments, of the way the environment is, of where the wall space is, and who you're working with. Like some of these young, talented assistants that come, sometimes they're doing things that I would never able to get there because they had no fear. And it's been told to be a child again is where I would like to be because there's no fear. Nobody said, hey, you can't use black. Hey, you can't use this color. And why not? And so these young artists can take it to a level. Now we have technologies, styrofoams, we have metal things that in the Renaissance period in Mexico and Italy, they didn't have.
Yeah.
So now they can get things to come out of the wall, actually literally come out of the wall without having to wait or come down from the ceiling. So who knows what's going to transpire, but there's going to be some fantastic work being created here.
Well, I know when this is completed and some of the projects that you've completed here in Albuquerque, one of the things that I hear that your legacy is the people that you've come in contact with, such as the students that you work with. Mm-hmm. You're able to pass on that information, and then remembering what it was like in the 70s to say, I wish I had asked more questions of the mentors that you had.
Right.
You're able to say, hey, in this moment, I'm able to teach you a little bit. I have a question. It's a little bit unorthodox. Are you a dancer? Do you like to dance?
You know what? Sometimes when I'm dancing so fast my feet are standing still.
I ask this because when I've had the opportunity to watch you paint, and when you look at fresco paintings, there's a lot of movement in it and a lot of rhythm. And so I'm curious if you at all combine those two arts together. Do you listen to music when you paint? If so, what kind of music do you listen to? Or do you consider the movement as kind of like a dance art form?
That's a wonderful question because painting fresco is a movement in dance. And we're dancing, I refer the wall as she. She's allowed me to dance and to work on that wall with her, and she will say, okay, I'm sorry. That's all you're gonna get. No, the wall's drying on you, then it's seco. You're painting on dry, and it's not the same because it stands out. It's not part of the wall when you start to deal with seco. So, yeah, it's a dance movement.
Yeah, I've always wondered. I was like, I bet you he's a good dancer and he's got the opportunity because when you look at fresco, it's so different from other art forms out there, different mediums, but it does look like movement. When you look at what's behind you and what's behind us, there is a fluid movement in the brush and what we see on the walls. And I'm curious, is that part of your interpretation of fresco, or is that how you were taught?
I think that's the way I was taught, and fresco allows you only the movement of the inorganic pigments because it's alive. So you can see fresco, there's no glare. It's a natural component of earth pigments, inorganic earth pigments. So what we've done is we're creating limestone with color.
I love that.
And the luminosity that'll occur eventually, probably 3 years later after you come, we finish out of here, you're gonna come, you'll see the fresco all come together. The luminous, the colors that were behind it, in front of it, and the way they dry.
When someone looks at your artwork, what would you like them to see that's different from the fact that you were here, your legacy here, your imprint was here? What would you like them to see different from other frescoes that they may see as they travel the world? How would they like to see yours, and how do we identify that that's your piece? But some of your trademarks, I guess, is what I'm asking.
You know, that I don't know, but one thing that we working on is, because we weren't taught our history. I wasn't taught. I knew a lot from my dad, the way they grew up, the rituals and ceremonies, the entregas, things that our culture had, and so we weren't taught. After the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, we became Americans. So Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, you know, okay, what about the ancestry that we had that developed the culture that we are from? That to me is the frescoes that we're leaving, is who we are, that we never forget that that we can go down the street and talk to so-and-so, el señor que estaba ahí, Mr. Gomez, Mr. Contreras, Mr. Brito, and say, hey, we used to do this. This was our tradition in the landscaping, in the fruit, in the vegetables, what we created in los bailes, el baile de la escoba, valsa del paño, las entregas de los novios, de los difuntos. Ritual and ceremony kept community together.
Love that. So if I was to recap, and I heard you say community, one of the ways we would identify your work is through your storytelling, your ability to tell the story in the way that you see it, and in recovering those memories from the past that maybe we don't have anymore. You kind of surface that and bring it back to life through your painting.
Yes, that's one of the things I would like to do. Yes.
So tell us where here or wherever that we can see some of your artwork. Where do you have it throughout Albuquerque, throughout New Mexico? Where can we see some of your pieces?
Well, in Albuquerque, of course, very proud of the Torreon. 4,000 square feet of wall space.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And the mestizaje is who we are, the genetics and mixtures.
How long did that take?
That took about 9 years. We never realized it was going to take that long for 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
It's our Sistine Chapel, right? When we're in there, I know when I go in there to the cultural center, and I could stay in there for hours at a time, just looking at things that I miss. I see something new every time I'm in there.
Well, we had 5 scholars, 5 PhDs who would sit down and talk, and I would take notes. So all those images right there are truthful, I guess, factual, historically. So they're the ones that talked about, and I took notes. It took 2 years and 6 months to have that design approved.
Wow. I don't think very many people realize that it takes that time.
It took that long because people say, well, how come you have blacks? We have to learn our history.
Right.
How come you have Mexican? What do you mean? Nuevo Mexico was first before Mexico.
Right.
So
right. Not very many people know that fact either.
We don't know our history. Well, we weren't taught.
Right.
But we're learning because of what you do, what you're doing with this video and things like that, and what we've been allowed to come and work on this wall. And so, yeah, there's a lot.
Wow, so we have that. Is there anywhere else that maybe we don't know that somebody would be surprised to see in New Mexico?
At UNM, at Mesa Vista Hall, there's a fresco there. I'm trying to, in La Jolla, there's a church in La Jolla, New Mexico. In Bernalillo, our Old Lady of Sorrows Church, and in Santa Fe, I might have at least 5.
Well, I want to help to put that book together and a list of where we can find your work, because I think being able to see all the different pieces that you do is incredible. Okay, so where we're sitting right now, and Corey has us sitting. Tell us about how long this project is going to take. When did you start? Let's start. When did you start? How long is it going to take, and when you expect it to be finished?
Well, we are into it at least 5 years. We had to deal with COVID. And the beginning of our adventure here in creating this, we taught fresco to Friends of Fresco, and also to it was called the Focused Youth or Future Focused Youth. It was a charter school. They came, and we have their pieces downstairs that will be hanging on the wall. And cross our fingers, we're looking to finish in this fresco the end of December of this year.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, well, that would be exciting. I would definitely want to be here for that celebration, and we'll have to have the Hispano Chamber of Commerce involved some way or another to celebrate you. Now, you just won a Hispanic Heritage Award with us at the Crown Plaza this past year. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Well, that was a shock. And there's always a statement that says, I didn't realize it, okay?
How did you get there? Were you just going to support?
I had got a table, I bought a table with the family, and we always kind of support. And Luz, my wife, I was informed that, that I was going to get an award. I didn't know. She knew. She didn't tell me either. And so it was, I would have loved to have been informed so I can at least express myself in a way to appreciate the award. It was shocking. And there's a dicho that that always says, al finalmente me pescaron con las medias caídas.
Translate that for us.
They finally caught me with my socks down.
It was a beautiful thing for those of us who knew just a few seconds before it was about to happen. I think I even got a little emotional. Everybody at the chamber that does this knows I'm such a huge fan of yours. But seeing you get that award, I got emotional watching you receive something that you deserve. And
Thank
you know,
you.
the Hispano Chamber in its own way finds a way to celebrate community leaders, artists, and the culture which you bring to our communities so important. This interview alone for me, I get the chills saying it to you because to me, you make such a big impact in what you do, and we will always have this video to say that I got to sit right next to you and ask you some important questions. What's one thing you want to say as we end this podcast, as we end this interview? What's one thing you would like to say out there to the youth about anything, whether it's arts, commerce, community? What's one thing you'd like to leave that message?
That's a tough one. I would say the main thing, health is wealth. Always take care of that first. And then those that are in the artistic world, connect with people that have been doing it for a while, because I had a few mentors that I would talk and sit down with, and they would talk about their struggles, and it is going to be a struggle. But Albuquerque and through the Hispano, what you guys do and exposing this and being involved in the community, Albuquerque is an amazing city to be able to create.
I agree.
So if I can be of any help to anybody, I'm here, and I'd be more than honored to say a few things to anybody who wants to come and listen. But it's a journey, it's an adventure in life, and enjoy it.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Red or green?
Well, I like red, but I also take green.
Okay, we don't discriminate against our green chili. Well, I want to thank you so much.
Eric,
it is
thank you.
an honor to sit across from you, sir. Thank you for all you do, and we look forward to seeing this done in December. We'll be back.
Thank you, Eric.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.